everybody, I'm Diane Gale and I am the author of the blog sustainableslowliving.com, and today I want to teach you how to quick pickle vegetables. Learning to pickle your own vegetables is a skill that is super handy to have. You can do that with water bath canning and preserve vegetables long term, but you can quick pickle vegetables. They're kept in the refrigerator short term, super easy to do, great for when you don't have a huge quantity to can. No water bath canner required. They are so easy that they can be put up in minutes. So if you go to the farmer's market and you buy more cucumbers than you can eat by the end of the week, and you want a way to preserve those that are left over, you can preserve a couple jars with the quick pickling method and you are all set. The quick pickling method really doesn't require any special tools or supplies unless, of course, you consider canning jars with plastic lids a special tool or supply. I know that not everybody has them in their kitchen, so some of you may actually consider them a special supply, but a lot of you already have them. You just need a canning jar, a pint or a quart, and a plastic lid. You can't use the metal lids that come with the canning jars because the vinegar in the quick pickling recipe will cause it to corrode. So you definitely need to have the plastic lid. Other than that, if you have some measuring spoons and you have whatever spices your recipe calls for, if it calls for salt or sugar, you may need that, and then you'll need distilled white vinegar. Any distilled white vinegar will work. Other vinegars will work. You can use apple cider vinegar, white wine vinegar, red wine vinegar. You can use any vinegar and you can experiment with all of that. I use white vinegar. I just always have. I have not experimented with other vinegars. I hope to one day in the future. Maybe we can do that together. As far as how to quick pickle vegetables, it really is so simple that it doesn't require a demonstration. You're going to take a clean jar and a clean lid. You're going to put in your dried herbs and spices, whatever your recipe calls for, and I will be putting out recipes for quick pickled vegetables and for fermented vegetables over the next few months. So you'll have plenty of recipes to choose from if you just come back and check on those. As they become available, I will link them all down below, and I will also link this blog post down below for you to check out if you'd like. So once you have your jar and your lid, you're going to put your dried herbs and spices in. You're going to start putting your vegetables in the jar. If you're adding things like garlic cloves or fresh dill sprigs or other fresh herb sprigs, rosemary, thyme, or even bay leaves because they sit nicely between the vegetables, you can go ahead and you can slide them down into your vegetables after you've started to add them so that they'll kind of suspend and, I don't know, I guess the flavor state, but it's all going to go together anyway. Sometimes they look pretty in the jar. So anyway, you'll get everything packed in there. You'll get your vegetables packed in there nice and tight. You can go ahead and you can use a sauerkraut pounder like this one if you want to pack your vegetables down in there nice and tight. I do use this one when I do cabbage because it's easier to pack it in there, but you don't have to. And it is going to crush your vegetables, which for cabbage, that's not a big deal, but for other vegetables, you may not want that. So use your own discretion. You can try it both ways, but get your veggies packed in there nice and tight, and pack them in there just to the bottom of the rim of the jar. And then you're going to take and you're going to fill your jar up 3/4 of the way with water and top it off the rest of the way with vinegar past that rim so that your veggies stay submersed under the brine. And let's talk for a minute about your veggies staying submersed under the brine. You can pick up pickling weights to do that. You can take some clean marbles and put them in a sandwich baggie and put them on top to do that. You can take a cabbage leaf and you can lay it over top, tuck it down inside around the vegetables, and use that to keep your veggies under the brine. Having your veggies under the brine will prevent bacteria and mold from forming and causing your veggies to go bad. I'm not gonna lie, I take a risk at losing jars. I have not lost any yet. I put my veggies in there. I push them down under the brine. Every day for the first week or two, I come along and I shake that jar up, and then I open it and I make sure those veggies are pushed under the brine. And I have not had any trouble. Your eyes and your nose are your friend when it comes to knowing whether or not your veggies have gone bad. If you see or smell anything that seems undesirable, then you have to toss that jar out. But I've never had a problem. Vinegar is a pretty good preservative. Now, about shaking the jar. I like to shake my jars every once in a while because it mixes up all of your spices, and if you have sugar and salt in there, it mixes it so that the brine, it's kind of evenly distributed. When I do salt and sugar, I tend to put a little bit in the bottom of my empty jar before I add anything else, and add a little bit of water and kind of start that hydration process to get that melting down a little bit. Alternatively, you can boil your water ahead. You can melt down your salt and your sugar in it, and then you can let it cool. You do want it to cool completely because you don't want it to par cook the vegetables when you pour it in. I like my quick pickling to be easy and on the spot. And when I'm there with those leftover cucumbers from the farmer's market, I want to just toss them in a jar. So I kind of do it all just like I explained. Little salt and sugar if it's going in, hydrate it a little bit, throw in the rest of the herbs, put in the veggie, put in any garlic cloves, fresh herbs, bay leaves, 3/4 of the way with water, the rest of the way with vinegar, put on that lid, shake it, check it every day for a little bit, and there you have it. You have quick pickled vegetables. So easy to do. Now, quick pickled vegetables don't take very long to go through the pickling process, I guess is what I want to say, before you can eat them. As a matter of fact, technically you can eat quick pickled vegetables within just 2 or 3 hours of making them. They don't have enough flavor for me at that point. I tend to like to eat them after 2 or 3 days. For me, they are best up to 2 weeks, and you're going to see most people recommending that you can keep them in your refrigerator for 2 to 3 weeks. They do have to be refrigerated. I don't know if I mentioned that, but you can actually keep them in your refrigerator longer. I have successfully kept quick pickled vegetables in my refrigerator for 3 to 4 months. They probably would have lasted longer than that, but it was surprising they made it that long because I eat them so quickly. They're really delicious. The flavor changes over time because the vegetables absorb more and more of the vinegar and spice flavor. So really you're just going to have to experiment with when it is you want to eat your quick pickled vegetables. And each of your recipes is going to be a little bit different because a cucumber is going to very readily absorb the flavors and the liquids, and it's going to take on all of that character from what you've put in the jar very quickly. A carrot is going to do the same thing, but because it's denser, it's not as porous, it's going to take more time to do that. The other question that I noticed that everyone has about quick pickling vegetables was whether or not they are good for you to eat. And there's a lot of controversy about that, and I have drawn my own conclusions. I have not looked at scientific studies. Even looking at scientific studies, you can find many different answers. That's how science works. Scientific studies are designed to raise questions. But I will share my conclusions with you, and then you can do your own research to see how you feel about whether or not quick pickled vegetables are good for you. The pickling process, the vinegar in the pickling process, is said by many people to deplete the nutrients from the vegetables. That's not completely true. It does decrease some of the vitamins in the vegetables, but it does not deplete all of the nutrients. It actually concentrates many of the antioxidants and minerals. So you're getting some vitamins, you're getting more antioxidants and minerals, and it is believed that the vinegar, the quick pickled vegetables help to aid in good digestion. So they're particularly great for eating just a little bit, you know, just a pickle or two, just a carrot or two, just a little bit of jalapenos, a little bit of red onions, whatever it is you have, a couple of asparagus spears at the end of a meal to help your digestion perform more optimally. The other things that I've seen on the great big interweb that I tend to agree with about this pickling process is that it is a low calorie, low fat, good source of fiber. So those right there are good things, reason enough to eat it. It is anti-inflammatory. I have always known vinegar to be anti-inflammatory, so that does not surprise me. The recipes that contain salt may have some inflammatory properties, and the sugar as well. But when you just have the spices, the herbs, the vinegar, definitely an anti-inflammatory product, an anti-inflammatory food, in my opinion. And it also is known to lower blood sugar. So these are all great things. The only downsides that I really see is that if you have high blood pressure, or you have heart conditions, or you have diabetes, you may want to consider the salt and the sugar content if salt and sugar are even in the recipe that you're using. And remember, you are in charge of how much salt and how much sugar you put in your recipe. You can eliminate it altogether. You can reduce it by half or more. It's going to change the flavor, there's no doubt about that, but you're still going to end up with a great pickled vegetable. As a matter of fact, you can pickle vegetables with just water and vinegar. Everything else is just icing on the cake. And finally, I'd like to talk to you about how to eat pickled vegetables. Now, we've talked about that a little bit already, right? I mean, just eat them right out of the jar. They're fabulous, but they're also great, like I said, at the end of a meal to help aid your digestion, maybe an hour after your meal. They're fabulous to have as a side dish. You can top salads with them. You can top burgers and sandwiches with them. You can use them in your favorite cocktails. If it should get an olive, it can get a fermented vegetable, right? Go ahead and put them in. They're great in vodka and tonic, they're great in gin and tonic, and they are outstanding in a good Bloody Mary. I don't even really drink, but I do occasionally enjoy a really good cocktail, and fermented vegetables make it even better. And I can tell you that I have had them with a really good Bloody Mary, and it is quite a treat. So any way that you can think of that you would use a pickle, you can basically use a fermented vegetable. Put them in your potato salad, your macaroni salad, your pasta salad. So delicious. They change the flavor. They give it a tang. They just make it a little better. They take it over the top. That really is how easy this process is, you guys. And when you're done, look at this. This is a beautiful thing. It just makes me happy when I open the refrigerator and I see this. It's a great way to preserve your vegetables when you have just a little too much. Again, look at this color. Makes me very, very happy. So I hope that you are going to quick pickle some veggies for yourself this spring, summer, and fall, and enjoy every single bite. And as always, I'm so glad that you joined me here today. You and I are going to get together again, and we are going to do it really soon.